Today I have a pretty interesting, kind of controversial product to some, but to me it's very interesting for several different reasons. But what this is the BWT4 long handguard and the BWT33 rail dust cover. This is a product made by Barwarusa US out of Turkey and is then sold here in the US to us. So you know why you clicked on this video, so let's go ahead and get into the elephant in the room. This is very close to a Zenitco B33 and a sport rail. The full chassis altogether is extremely close, dare I say the exact, as Zenitco, to where you can even use Zenitco parts on this chassis. Like a real B33 will snap onto this lower. It all interchanges. It's like 1-to-1. But what is it exactly, though, that makes it so special? So obviously we all know about Zenitco. Zenitco was considered to be like some of the best, coolest, most rare, very expensive aftermarket products that you could put on your AKMs and AK100 series. We all remember the Larry Vickers video back in the day of the Alpha AKs that were extremely popular in Russia at the time. And you're seeing a lot of Zenitco today, even in the Ukrainian conflict, but you're seeing more like Ukrainian stuff, the Crook, the ME rails. So to me, like, interest in doing Alpha clones and like the Ukrainian like trench clones is just through the freaking roof right now. So one thing that's interesting that you should consider here is that Zenitco is a Russian product and can no longer be imported. I'm sure it still comes in, but you are absolutely taking a risk spending a ton of money on it because it could get seized by customs, and it happens to a lot of people. They have a lot of money that they lose taking that risk. That's what makes this so interesting. The price point for this entire chassis here, I think I just saw it today, I don't know if YouTube's even gonna allow me to say this, is about this much. And I can tell you that the Zenitco B33 and the full sport rail is probably gonna cost you twice, if not maybe closer to 3 times that. 3 times that might be a little much, but it's absolutely going to cost you twice that. And then there's always that risk of it just never showing up. You don't have to worry about with this. And I think that's what makes it so special. Definitely has the looks, and it is made from very high quality aluminum. The dust cover, in fact, is made of T6 7075 aluminum. Very high quality aluminum. I'm not sure the original Russian stuff is even made at that quality. That's only speculation, but I know exactly what this is made out of, and that's what it is. Now the handguard, or the rail portion, is made from 6082 aluminum. Slightly lower grade, but still very high quality aluminum to have on an AK that's going to take a beating in most people's, experience. It needs to be able to hold up. It is good aluminum, so that's good. And the biggest change that you're going to find with this compared to its Russian counterpart is the inclusion of M-LOK. You have a lot of M-LOK at the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock that you just don't have on the Russian stuff. You have to use basis. Even this has a little bit of basis on the side. So if you do have some of that stuff laying around, you could use a little bit of it. But in America, it just makes sense to have the M-LOK. So that's pretty cool. The just utter demand, the super high demand that Alpha AKs have today. Everybody wants an Alpha AK, but I mean, should you really have to spend thousands of dollars to really make it clone correct? Maybe. Not that I would ever do that. Just kidding, I totally did. So this is my Zenitco Alpha AK B33, as you can see here, and my B10 lower and upper. So I have a real set of Zenitco. I've had several sets of real Zenitco, and I got this stuff back when it was super cheap. And even back in the day, I think back before it had like this like godlike status, I just found it to be pretty cool. I found it to be super heavy, and it never ended up staying on an AK. I had the full quad rail B33, and I thought it looked super sick. I hated installing it on my AK. When they started coming out with this slab-sided B10 and even the sport stuff, I thought, that's cool, because you need that to run the rail dust cover. The whole chassis is designed to work with a handguard mating to the dust cover and a very special recoil spring to lock everything in so that you always have a return to zero with the dust cover, which is not an easy thing to do with AKs. It's just not. So I've been down that road with Zenitco. I've installed Zenitco. I know the whole deal. I've done it. If I were to purchase this chassis all over again, and it's not even the full-length rail, I would pay 2 to 3 times what I originally paid for it back when it was being imported and was available. There's no way I would pay triple what I paid for this to have it all over again. It's cool, but it's not that cool. So back to the Bar War rail. It's worth a shot at least. So that's enough talking from me. I'm gonna go in the garage, put this thing on the gun. I wish I could show you, but because YouTube is the way YouTube is, I'm not allowed to show you how to put this on. I will be installing it on an SLR 107 FR. It's AKM spec, 100 series, kind of Bulgarian AK. So your mileage may vary, but I have chosen a Bulgarian AKM variant to see how the install goes. It's honestly just as difficult to install as Zenitco. You have to do quite a bit of clearancing, front and back. I don't want to get too much into detail because YouTube, but that so far has been exactly the same. Maybe 20-25 minutes of fitting, and we finally got that lever to go down. Extremely tight fit, but it's honestly designed that way. So what I had to do on my B33 was actually clearance the insides of these two tangs. That's the only way I ever got my actual B33 to fit. This is the exact same way, and I think it's specific to Bulgarian AKs because of their sight block being a little fat on the bottom. Okay, I would say about a 45-minute install, but it's on there. Okay, that was a little more difficult than I had anticipated. So I would say total install time, 45 minutes, maybe an hour if you've never done an install like this before. You need to have tools. Every single one of these bolts is 3mm. They're metric. I would highly recommend having a Dremel with some sanding discs or a file set, and you need a rubber mallet with like, soft blow heads. It's the only way you're gonna install something like this. So you do need to have the right tools before you tackle something like this. Sets nice and straight, nice and level, and it's rock solid. I would say the most difficult part of the install, which what you saw earlier, clearancing these arms to fit between the sight block and the lower. Even now it's still a little bit bulged because I didn't want to go much thinner on these arms, and I ran into the same problem back when I used to install Zenitco on Bulgarian guns. This spot right here needs quite a bit of clearancing, so we finally got it on there, but much hammering, much filing, but we got it on. And of course, looks really freaking good with a bakelite in there. Love the nub down here that actually connects the two sections of rail. These sections actually are two separate pieces, this piece and this piece, just like the Zenitco stuff. You have a bar here with some basis on this end, and of course, a 3mm bolt on that end connecting it. And this little nub here actually connects the two pieces together too, as well as being a decent little hand stop. Much nicer feeling than the quad rail, I think. Pretty nice. I don't think it even needs a forward grip because the rail is so long. It's very nice to Costa grip it. But yeah, that feels good. You can see there, I've actually got the replacement recoil rod in place, and your little takedown push button here is actually tapered so that, just like the Zenit, it tapers into the dust cover and really smashes everything down and keeps it super tight. And it has no movement, no wiggle, no rattle. And everything did fall out nice and straight, which your mileage may vary because not all AKs have super straight sight blocks and lower handguard retainers. The straighter those parts are on your AK, the more straight all this stuff's gonna fall out. If that stuff's crooked on your AK, this stuff might fall out a little bit crooked, but it's just the way she goes. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pick an optic for this thing. I don't know what yet, but next time you see me, we'll be at the range. We'll have an optic, maybe two, and we'll shoot it, we'll heat it up, do some accuracy testing, open and close the dust cover, and see if we notice any change. Before we go to the range, if you want to support this channel in any way, shape, or form, the best way to do that is to buy some of our merch. We have a lot of really cool hats, hoodies, beanies, t-shirts. That's the best way to support us. I don't do Patreon, and I don't do Leviathan paid ad reads for ball sack razors. So if you want to help us out, that's the best way, and I love seeing that stuff out in the wild. All right, back to the video. Here we are at the range. We decided to go with the MRO because I have a very low mount for it, and we're running a factory stock here, so I wanted a low mount. And you have to admit, I got to agree with Blue Jean Operator here. Like when AKs have rail dust covers, MROs just look really good on an AK. It has a really nice aesthetic. It kind of looks like a Russian optic, I think. Anywho, so I think we'd start the day off by recapping what you've already seen. Install was very involved, but we got it on there. The optic came out super straight on the gun. It's not tilted or canted to either side. It's perfectly in line with the bore. Sets up nice and straight. That's nice. We're going to throw a little 25-yard zero on it and do a little bit of run and gun. I want to open and close the dust cover and go back to 25 to see if we've had any shift in zero. And then later today, we'll go to 100 yards. We'll get a few hits on target. Same thing. We'll mess with the dust cover, and then we'll get a few more hits on target just to see out the distance if it changes our zero all that much. So let's go ahead and start shooting. Hitting a little left. So we have a pretty good 25-yard zero. Now what we're going to do is, if you look down range, we have a slightly larger target with fresh white paint on it. You can see there. We're going to post up at 25 yards on a VTAC. I'm sorry, that's actually a tank trap barricade. Using the rail to really lock in, we're going to take 5 shots at the head area, and we're going to leave that group there for the entire range session. Once we do a bunch of shooting and heating up and VTAC barricade work, we're going to come back to that exact same tank trap, same distance, same ammo, same target. We're going to aim at the exact same spot. Open and close the dust cover, maybe smack it around a little bit, and we'll see at 25 if our zero changes at all. My guess is it won't change all that much if it does at all, but then later today we'll go to 100 yards. We'll get a baseline group, open and close the dust cover, smack it around, and then get another baseline group at 100, which if it's going to move, we'll see it by that time. The goal with any rail dust cover on an AK is to hold zero, obviously, but that's kind of been the bane of many AK guys' existence, trying to get these dust covers to hold zero. The Zenitco dust cover holds very good zero in my experience. If this is as good of a clone as they say it is, it should do the same. So let's go ahead and get our baseline, and then we'll start blasting. All right, 5-shot group. Let's go take a look at it really quick, and we'll make a note of where it is. Okay, 5-round group, right? It looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty much dead center, nice little C here. So we'll come back to that later. And I just want to make one point here. I'm going to be huffing and puffing today. It feels like 100 degrees. It's like 90 degrees with a ton of humidity in Texas. It is brutal out here today. We're already like glistening with sweat. Camera girl's soaked in sweat, and she's just standing there. So I apologize if I begin wheezing. Ooh, slow down, Clay. I like how thin it is. That little finger stop sure is coming in handy. All right, work some of the low walls. Oh, fits right in there. Get out of there. I love how thin it is. That little bump stop right there, it's like the perfect, distance that I should be going in and out of these holes. I really like that. Man, going forward on that handguard really does help you drive that muzzle down. That's just a factory brake, and it doesn't do much for 7.62. Having that little extra rail out front is nice. And I'll just be honest with you, I don't have the biggest hands in the world. I like the slimmer version of the Barwarusa rail and the Zenit rail. This is nice, hooking your finger there. This is really nice for you Costa grippers out there. Magwell gripping's nice. The thin, streamlined shape of it really allows you to work VTACs pretty well if you can just get that front sight post in there. So it does heat up quite a bit. Even with a glove, that's as long as I can hold it. It does get hot. So we'll keep going a little bit doing a magwell grip. Oh. Okay, without a doubt it needs to cool down. All right, we'll let it come down a little bit. It's like a full heat cycle. See if anything loosens up. And we'll keep going. All right. Obviously, we're holding zero just fine all day at 25, but these things are supposed to make the gun stronger, so I figured we would roll it around in the dirt a little bit and see what we see. It looks like it's still in the same spot. I don't feel any wiggle.
I throw it?
All right, no, because you're gonna throw the shit out of it. All right, one more time. Stepping on it, just put my own weight on it. Okay. Stepping on it. Okay. All right. Dust cover is now open. I feel like dropping the gun with the dust cover open is a bit much, but we'll do it one time. Dust cover's open. Okay. I think that is more than enough. All right. 5-round group. Ooh, my turnstile.
No.
Turnstile is a little stiff now. Okay. Same exact spot, same target, same point of aim. 5 slow shots. Is that 5? We'll do one more.
That was 5.
I pulled that one. All right, we'll do one more. I pulled that last shot, my bad. Okay, 6 shots. That looks like the same spot. Let's go check it. So if you remember earlier, our shots kind of did this half moon. If anything, so this was our original. Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
I think our original was here. I'll put a picture up. If anything, we might have had a slight shift to the right, just a little bit. I think we'll see this more at 100. But at 25, it's virtually the same spot. So yes, I think it's safe to say we did have to readjust the zero a little bit to the left. Granted, the stuff we did, nobody's gonna be doing with their AK, but dropping it could happen. Dropping it with the dust cover open, I would advise not to allow that to happen, but we tried it anyway, and I mean, just a tiny little change. And the gun is brutally hot, and it's bad out here. So what I've done now is I've given myself 2 points of aim at about 50 yards. We're gonna take 5 nice slow shots as best I can. This is not a precision gun. We'll then open and close the dust cover 5 times. And then we will shoot the second point of aim, my second little spot on the target there, and we'll compare groups. There's shooter arrow that could happen here. I'm not the greatest shooter in the world. We're shooting a bone stock 7.62 AK that just happens to have a fairly okay trigger. So let's go ahead and aim at our first spot. Okay, first 5. You can see they're pulling to the left a little bit. You know, it's interesting. Earlier, I thought my group was going to the right, so I actually adjusted back to the left. Now all my shots are going left. Man, hard to say if it moved the first time, but we're gonna leave it where it's at. Okay, let's open and close this dust cover. Still have a round in the chamber. This cover's open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Bottom point of aim now. It's 5 top and bottom. From what I see, the groups look exactly the same. Point of aim, 5 rounds. Open and close 5 times. Point of aim, 5 rounds. The exact same point of aim, point of impact at 50 yards. I'm kind of conflicted now. You know, earlier we had all the shots in the head, and I just felt like all my shots pulled left, so I adjusted my dot to move my impacts back over to the left. And now it's like way over to the left, so might have made a boo-boo there. What I've done now, I've actually adjusted back the other way. I put it back to where we were before we started, back when I thought the zero shifted a little bit. Let's see where we're hitting now. Ooh, do we have a jam? Mm-hmm. We did. Wow. Solid light primer strike. That's a dud round. Put it back in, see if it goes off. Wow, a dud round. Damn. Can't say I can't remember the last time I actually found a dud round of 7.62. I'd say we're back in business. Those were all right in the forehead. So now I think all that's left to do is go to 100 and see if we can get the 0 to change. I'm going to do a belt buckle hold on all shots, aiming at the base of the target. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I missed that one. Missed that one too. Might have overcompensated a little too low on those belt buckle shots. Rightio, 200 yards. We'll do a dead hold. Good enough for a match. So after a very long day of shooting in 100-degree, hot, humid Texas weather, you guys know how it gets around here in the summer, those of you from Texas. It was a brutal day of shooting, very high temperatures. We shot quite a few rounds through this thing, and we did a little bit of torturing. And I think, honestly, that initial group that had shifted might have just been me. I might have just been rethinking it, so I actually went back to my original 0, and everything went back to normal. So that one's on me. I'll take the L there. Probably should have just not re-zeroed and left it alone and kept shooting. And that was definitely true when we see the farther distances, the 100 and 200 yards distances with the dust cover coming open and closed many, many times. The cone of fire, which with AKs, I mean, they're not precision rifles. They have a cone of fire out to distance, and as long as you keep pulling the trigger in that cone of fire, you'll make hits if you know your dope is, if you know that your holdover is set at that distance. And we did it just fine. If I just absolutely needed to scratch that Zenitco itch, that Alpha AK itch, you really can only scratch that with Zenitco. I mean, that is the Alpha AK clone. You have to have Zenitco on it. Well, as we addressed so much before in the beginning of the video, you're taking a huge risk and spending a ton of money to do that. Because we're seeing it at the price point that we're seeing it for the entire chassis, I absolutely would spend the money and try it. I freaking would. I never had the opportunity to get the sport rails back when Zenitco was coming in, and to buy them now, it is not worth spending like 2.5 times what you would spend on this. Ain't worth it. I love that stuff, but it's just not worth it. It's not worth the risk anyway. So at the price point, yeah, hell yeah, I would try this. It looks freaking baller. I mean, an AK with this style chassis is about as cool as an AK can get. It just, aesthetically, it is just the chef's kiss, without a doubt. And after the day that we had, it's pretty tough, man. You can definitely see that they do use the 775 and the 6082 grade aluminum. You can see that. Like, it handled quite a bit of shooting and quite a bit of abuse fairly well. So I think for the time being, this chassis is going to sit on here for a little while, and we will continue that abuse. We'll definitely suppress it more and try different optics on it. But yeah, I know everyone's going to ask, would you buy it? Yes, I would. Even though they sent this to me, I would buy it. I definitely would. Now, I think before, when I first showed a picture of these things, that there were prices substantially more than you could get them now through different distributors. Like straight from the Barwarusa website, the price was a little high. Yes, I agree, that price was high. Now that we're seeing distributors with this stuff selling it around MAP pricing, that kind of changes things a little bit. And you just have to ask yourself, yeah, the Zenitco stuff's awesome, but it's risky. This stuff is a known quantity. It will show up to your house, and at the price, I would buy it myself. Should you buy it? I don't care what you do with your money. Don't care. I know I personally would definitely, at the price that we're seeing it now, I would take a risk on it. Let me know what you guys think about this rail, and don't hold back. The comment section down below, tell me what you really think about it, because I know the comments got a little heated on the Instagram post, and that's what this stuff's for, open conversation. So leave those comments down below, and we'll definitely see you next time.